Hello, 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 and welcome to Words from a Black Woman Experience. I am your host, Cherlnell Lane. I am bearing my soul for yours. I'm the founder of Cherlnell Lane LLC, where we help you use your words. This is where women come to share their unique realities and perspectives on life as a Black woman. I am blessed to be here today with Dionne Victoria.
Hey,
Episode called. Oh yes, hi Dionne Victoria. How are you?
I am wonderful. How are you?
I am good. First let's do a little bit of explaining. Um, the reason why you all see Dionne Victoria and not myself is not because I'm having a bad hair day. It is because we're having technical difficulties. So if you all hear any hiccups in the sound or anything like that, please don't hesitate to let us know.
Yeah, she's
We
definitely not
appreciate
having
you
bad
for
hair
it.
day, guys. I saw her hair. It's super cute.
Thank you. I got the braids with the purple and the black.
It's
You've been trying
super
to
cute.
do it for y'all. So I'm all upset. Anywho, um, we are in this episode today, which is called Dionne. What is it called?
Our how science explains God. Something like that.
Yes, when science describes God.
There we go. I'm
So
sorry.
no, it's cool. It's cool. We all understand. It's been a day,
Different
week,
vocabulary.
month.
Same idea.
Yeah, exactly. Same thing. So let me tell you a little bit about Dionne Victoria. Dionne Victoria is an educator and Chicago artist whose artwork is a meditative tool to heal and express the soul. Dionne Victoria has exhibited in the United States Congress Library as well as in the Museum of Science and Industry. She has taught over the Chicagoland area in other states and Korea, where she taught English using art as a modality. Is that correct?
Modality.
Modality. Sometimes I can't pronounce words, even though I'm a poet. She developed a science art integration curriculum while teaching at Sky Art Northwest University Center for and Development, as well her at her own studio, Dionne Victoria Studios Incorporated. She began her curating career under Ty Johnson Artistry and has curated all over Chicago, including the historic Southside Community Arts Center. She has a master's in teaching from the University of Chicago and is a field work resident alum at the Chicago Artists Coalition. She is currently a science teacher at Art in Motion and holds the chair as treasurer and co-founder of the Healing Academy. So
Hey.
thank you, Ms. Dionne Victoria, and welcome to Words from a Black Woman's Experience.
Thank you. It feels weird listening to all that. So
I
yeah, thank
know,
you for
look, I
thank
feel
you for
the
the
same
introduction.
exact way on the show.
Yeah.
You are so welcome. So we like to kick things off with connection.
Mm-hmm.
So we are connected. Um,
Yes.
and I want to talk a little bit about how we're connected. So I have known Dionne Victoria for quite a while now. I know it's been over 5 years. I have come to know her to be a creative, jovial, intelligent, artistic, educational, motivative, mother with an endearing, childlike spirit. We met through battles, and I think my first time working closely with Dionne Victoria was when I was starting my writing through her workshops. The very first one, writing through the everyday trauma of being Black in America, and I was nervous, you guys. But anyone who has known me personally knows that I am a perfectionist to a fault. So I wanted a lesson plan. I couldn't just get up there and teach. You don't have to shake your head that much, Dionne. Without having some kind of lesson plan, didn't know how to put one together. So Natalie was like, "Has a teacher, she can help you. She can put together a lesson plan." And Dionne Victoria came over to my house and sat down and worked with me in creating a lesson plan for my workshops. And I have not wavered too much from that plan that she first taught me when we first started. So I would like to thank you for that. I have been witness to your art, been witness to your events and art curation. I have been a witness to your teaching personally when you taught my goddess Day of the Goddess birthday celebration, which was awesome, informative. It was not in her bio, but Dionne Victoria is also an awesome rapper, hip hop artist, poet, whatever she want to go by. But yes, but she's shaking her head. She is totally awesome. She's also awesome in incorporating all of the things that she does um, into teaching in silly and creative projects and activities. So yeah, that's my experience. You, Dionne Victoria, and if you know something about that in our connection or connection in general, go right ahead.
Well, you got me over here blushing, so I don't know where to start. Feel like you're hitting on me or something. I'm kidding. A lot of the things that you said about me, I can say about you, to be quite honest. Like, I really appreciate your, one of the things that I really look up to you about is your thoroughness and your lesson planning. Because while maybe I gave you the skeleton, you're just so thorough and thinking every little piece through, and you think about every angle and what every student might have to face. And that's a talent, and I really want to acknowledge and appreciate that, because I took one of your classes. While you talk about my classes, I took one of your classes, and it was I was very impressed. I remember when we were at the what was it, Black Lives Matter Expo or something like that, when we were there, you taught that class with the journal.
Yes.
I never forgot that class. That was probably one of the first classes that I didn't have to like do something else. I was just there to take your class. And I will never forget it. I remember sitting there, I'm like, wow, she took that thing and ran with it. So I want to say, you talk about me, sis, you the one up here writing these plans, out here balling out or whatever. Okay. And excuse my voice.
Thank you. I appreciate it.
Yeah, girl. You know, we gotta shout out each other, okay? But I don't know. I don't know where you
Exactly.
where we going from here. So
Oh, I got you. I got you. So yes, we have to shout out each other, and that's one of the reasons why I built this platform, is because I want to highlight Black women of all different kinds, from all different backgrounds, with all different kind of jobs and careers and loves and habits and gifts and talents and blah 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 blah, right? And I want to focus on our individual experiences and the lessons we have learned, or the lessons that we want to teach, the lessons that we want to give to people. So before we get into your lesson, everyone has to answer this question. What is your favorite quote?
My favorite quote right now is, it's my personal quote, right? Because this is my quote. Let every
No. This is I'm sorry, this is well, it could be your quote, just your favorite quote.
My favorite quote is, let every thought come from love. So the reason why that's my favorite quote is because, and we'll get into this later with the discussion, but when we like release any energy that is not love, basically, and we make sure that everything we do comes from love, every thought, if we can get to a place where every thought, you're like, is that thought about love, or is that thought out of love? You start to transform your life around you. It's like magic. And so I I have been, for years, my favorite quote was, let every action come from love, and that served me well. So now I'm trying to go a little deeper, and where do the root of the actions come from? It comes from my thoughts. So I'm going there now and saying, let every thought come from love. And that's why that's my favorite quote.
That is awesome. That is awesome. Um, Thank you for sharing that. Now we would like to get into the meat and potatoes, to say, or for vegetarians or vegans, we would like to get into the mushrooms and tofu. Something, I don't know. You ain't gotta
You
laugh
so
that hard, yeah. I
you
don't
so
know. I don't know. So you say when science describes God. So if you can start us off with your love for science
Oh
and
yeah.
how that has spilled over into your idea of art, God, spirit, what have
Oh man, it's all interconnected, right? So one of the beautiful things
you.
my dad gave me is the desire to ask questions. We as human beings, it's innate in us, but as Black people and as Black women and as just human beings, often asking questions is, we're taught not to do that. Stop asking. How many times have you heard someone say, "Stop asking so many questions" to kids? I've heard that so many times, it's not even funny. And when I hear it, I actually correct the people like, yo, no, actually, I love when the child asks me questions. Let them ask me all the questions they want, because
Right.
questions are amazing. So as a child, my father really, both of my parents, but in different ways. My dad, a little bit more like hands on, my mom, more like just providing the space and opportunities. So my dad used to we used to turn over rocks and stuff and go to the forest preserves, and he would ask me questions, and I would be like, I don't know, let me find out. I'd be curious about it too. Like, wait, that's a good question. And I started, as I got older, started to see the correlation between question asking and art, and question asking and science. The first step in science, in the scientific method, is to ask a question. I wonder. They say it's to start with research, but why would you even start with the research if you don't got no questions? Right? So that's kind of where it started
Absolutely.
in my childhood, where I really just wanted to answer questions, and it carried over into my adulthood. Art helped me answer a lot of questions about myself and my mental health and my internal space, because I was able to take something that was internal and make it external. And then, you know, we can critique it, or take a look at it and emphasize it, or ask questions about what is this imagery that you just created out of nowhere, right? And then as I got older and I started working with children more, I realized, oh, I really enjoy how they ask questions. And I started to realize, because of those questions, the correlation between science and art, and my ability to educate through art, educate about science through art.
Interrupt you. My
Interrupt me.
question is, my question is, dealing with children and science, as you said, and children like to ask questions. So I would ask you, from a child, what was one of the most inquisitive, unique questions, or deep? Because sometimes children, man, they'll make you stop and go deep within yourself to think of something. So what kind of question, what was the most interesting or most two interesting questions that you've been asked?
Oh man, I wish I had time to think about this, because I know I've had questions where I was like, I've had several questions. I can't remember any of them, where the kid would ask me a question and I'd be like, that's a great question. I don't know the answer to that. You find out. When you find out, come back and tell me. I'm sorry, I can't think of any off the top of my head, but I will say that when those times happen, I learn so much, and it makes me realize more and more why it's important for us to listen to the children and pay attention to them, and hear them, and not always, yeah, we need to take a break from them from time to time, but when they're in our presence, allow them to be present, so that and allow yourself to be present, because you can learn so much from kids, because they haven't lost that inquisitive nature, and so they teach you by learning themselves. So I'll be honest and say I can't remember an exact instance, but I'll back that up with, I've learned so much in those instances when I get those questions. So yeah.
Absolutely, absolutely. That was a perfect answer. Um, so you talked about how the questioning and interest and insight came from science. Now I believe you were on the way that overspilled into art with teaching.
So yeah, let's see. The way my career went, after I finished undergrad, I was an artist, and they don't teach you this in most art schools. When you graduate as an artist, you graduate as an entrepreneur, because that's how you about to make money. No one's outside. No one's putting out applications for painters. There's no job. That's not a no. You're about to start a business. So I started teaching art in order to pay the bills, and that's kind of how my business started to support itself, through teaching. And then I started to realize, it's highly competitive, these art programs and stuff that are hiring teachers, because like I said, when you graduate art school, you don't have a job. So the little contract work that you can find is highly competitive, because everybody looking for that work. I started to also look for opportunities to integrate science, because I saw the importance of science and how it was lacking in our schools. There's so much creativity in science that I felt like if I was to merge the two, I would be able to reach more people with science, reach more people with art. So then after that, that's when I was at Sky Art, but it was originally called the South Chicago Art Center. I started working there when it was called the South Chicago Art Center. And it was one of the best places I've worked. But I had to grow out of that because our visions went different. I really wanted to focus on the art science integration, and they are more art emotional, social emotional well-being through the arts, which is amazing. I'm really grateful for what they do. So I then went on to Northwestern, and I was hired there to work with preschoolers to teach science, like big, heavy science, like physics and space science and all this stuff.
Okay.
You're right. You're teaching this to 2 and 3 year olds. I'm teaching this to 2 and 3 year olds. And I kind of honed the skill of melding the two, because you have to. How do you teach that stuff to such little people? You can't, you know what I mean? Like, you're not about to go in there with a book.
Yeah, you have to figure out a unique way to capture young minds and integrate major concepts.
Right. So that's kind of how it budded. So sorry. There we go. From there, I started going back into the social emotional part with adults.
Okay.
But children, I'm sorry, the question, I think someone's at my door.
Oh, do you need to go see about that?
Yeah, it looks like it. Give me like 2 seconds. My apologies.
No problem. While we take a break and wait for Miss Dionne Victoria to come, I will ask anybody who has any questions, please type them in the chat. Anybody who has any comments for Miss Dionne Victoria, if you want to know any science questions, if you want to know anything, any insight that she might have that you're thinking of, please type them in the chat. We can see chats, comments from anywhere, any platform that you're listening to this on. So yeah, make sure you type comments, type questions, and as we go along, we will respond to them. Look at Katie.
Yeah, she's
I would like to everyone to Dionne Victoria's teacher, Miss KD. Yes.
She's definitely an educator. But I forgot where we left off.
So yeah, we were talking about you leaving teaching the children, like 2 and 3 year olds, science with art, to going back to emotional, mental, emotional, social art with adults.
Yeah, so when I went back to school for teaching, I started learning techniques that worked for young people, but also for adults. So yeah, then my business started to bud more into multi-generational education. Mm-hmm.
Yeah, that's dope. I mean, because I think a lot don't focus on that. And especially with the adults.
Yeah.
And us totally being more involved than I am, but with us both being involved in incorporating art to in a social, emotional, mental wellness for
Well,
adults?
to cut you off, because you oftentimes people don't
Okay.
recognize creative writing as art, but I'm gonna have to say it has to be because that was my main art form. If we don't count creative writing as art, I haven't made no art in a long time then.
Oh wait, no, I counted as art. I said us together working
Yeah,
in
but you
that
said not
field.
as much, so I don't want that not as
Oh,
much part.
I
You can
just
dismiss
meant
that.
I just meant I haven't been doing it as long as you, or
Okay,
with as integrating so many systems as you, I should say. But
fair enough.
yes, as artists, teaching art as a form of mental emotional wellness with adults. I do find that there are not many programs or avenues that incorporate art unless you know of an art therapist.
Right.
Then it's somebody now, but like in a general sense, people are doing that mostly to, like you said, children, teenagers. um and then you have to search
Yeah.
for something that's going to aid in that. So how do you feel about that? What do you think about that?
I think that it's really important, and I kind of want to go into how art describes God, because I think it's really
My next
important
question, so go right ahead.
that we give adults the same grace that we give children, and we create very similar spaces because a lot of these adults are just big grown children and they haven't quite evolved past certain places in their childhood. And so it would be foolish of us to expect something different than what they would have done at 10 if they're stuck in a traumatic place at their 10-year-old selves. You know what I mean? So
Yes.
art helps people to pull out of themselves the things that are not of God, and then they can see God clearly, if that makes sense. Of course, we can go deep. We're going to go deeper into that, but to me, not only has it been my purpose to help people evolve into their godlike selves, right? By doing it for myself. So I've had this
Right.
years of experience with art creating and expressing God through my life form. Now it's time for me to keep doing that, right? While also inspiring those around me to do the same. And the way it works is that if people around me don't do the same, they dismiss themselves. I don't have to do anything, you know. Art starts to describe God when we release those things that are not of ourselves, and we start to express those things that come from nowhere. Um, we don't know where these ideas come from that come to our minds. They come from somewhere, but nowhere at the same time. So when we take time to create, in the same way they talk about how the earth was created in the Bible or how man was created, or we can talk about how science describes how the sun was created at the beginning of almost, it was 6 billion years, 600, no, 6 billion years ago. I think it was 6 billion years ago the sun was created. You know, all this stuff happens. And not only does art document the happenings, but art also is an expression of the happenings. Case in point, why do we see color? Yeah, there's the rods and the cones in the eyes that allows us to see the color and the depth of the things around us, right? But then the object itself has a layer of material that the atoms, when they reflect light, they are reflecting whatever color you see. They absorb all the colors that you don't see because light is all colors. Light is all colors. But the colors that are reflected are the ones that you see. that is an expression of, now here we talking about color, right? What colors I choose carry certain vibrations. What colors I choose are going to inspire certain emotions within you. And those emotions are linked and tied to energy within you. See, you see where I'm going? I'm walking through.
I'm with you. I'm with you.
And in those moments when we express certain colors, we're expressing certain vibrations. So then we are in sync with other things within God that are expressing those same vibrations, right? So we could talk about all day how art science describes God. How I love those both.
Girl, you
When
better.
because it's just clear as day. It's clear as day to me. And to some I know it's like, what is she talking about? But it's science behind it. There's an understanding. And then there's even stuff that we can't even talk about because it doesn't exist in the human language. It doesn't exist in the earthling language. So it's
Absolutely.
just like understanding. It's like, okay, I just get it. And I can't give the understanding to someone until they are vibrating at certain frequencies. It's just, that's what it is.
Absolutely. So what are you saying? So what you are saying, what I get from this, even as it applies to other things, like people are not gonna get you unless you all are on the same vibration. Some people
Exactly.
you can't even communicate with, because like you said, they won't understand. I can't give it to you because we are not on the same vibration. To understand what we understand as God, as what happens in science, we have to be on a certain vibration to get to the next, to unlock the next level of understanding.
For sure.
Is that pretty much around what you're saying?
Yeah, for sure. There's certain information that can only be um you can only get it when you're traveling at certain frequencies.
Okay. Okay. That that was so deep. Like you broke it down. What do you say about people who say that, there can be no connection with science and God. Science and God are separate. Things of that nature. Because there are a lot of people who feel that way.
I know, and I don't understand. I don't travel at that frequency. Yeah.
Right. She's like, I don't travel at that frequency, so I can't communicate with
I think
them. I
honestly,
understand.
to be honest, I was on the route to not atheism, but just like ain't no way there's a God. You know what I mean? Like not necessarily
Mhm.
atheism, but forget God, but not using forget.
Right, right,
God is a cold mother blocker.
right. I feel you.
But I took a funny story. I went to a Christian college. Not many people know this about me. Um, for 1 year, I dropped out of school. But right before I dropped out, for like 6 months, I was trying to go full time at this Christian college down south in this little bitty
Woo!
town, about 100 people. It was awful. It was the worst decision I could have ever made, but also the best because I went to this Christian school and had a physics teacher that made me fall in love with physics. I hated physics up until the end. I got in his class and he explained it so clearly. And he was like, "This is how you explain God. This is just an explanation of God." I'm like, "Oh my God. So you telling me gravitational pull is just another explanation for how we manifest the things that we want in our lives? You said everything got gravity? Sir, hold up. I got a gravitational pull. And I'm pulling things that I want towards me. You telling me blessings just gonna come that way?" And once he started to break
Hmm.
down all the laws and stuff and help me really understand science, I was like, oh my God, This is this is real. This is an
Yeah.
explanation of God. This is how it all works. So I started calling the universe, but it was synonymous to God for me. So when I would go to churches and stuff, it
Yeah.
all made sense. It all made sense at that point. No matter where, I can identify with every religion because honestly, it's all connected and it's all
Mm.
explained through science. So I get it. Sure. Yep.
Yeah, that was an awesome. I'm glad that we got to that part of the teacher teaching you about the gravitational pulls and all of that. I think that was definitely a gem of this, one of the gems of this interview. Um,
Well, to be
I
frank, he didn't teach me that. He taught me about gravitational pulls, but I kind of put together manifestations being tied to the fact that we all have a gravitational pull. I was like, oh, now I get it. Okay.
Okay, I'm good with that. That is awesome. I think that's what we have to do sometimes when, and we have to trust ourselves in order to do that.
Oh, yes. Oh,
Because a
yes.
lot of times we'll hear something and we'll connect it, but because it's not necessarily the way the person talking about it connected or what they said, we'll second guess ourselves and be
Yeah,
like,
let that
nah,
go.
that
Because here's the
yeah,
thing, when it comes from nowhere, it comes from somewhere. When something tells
absolutely.
you, this is my favorite thing when people be like, something told me I should have did XYZ. You better start listening to something. That's God. Or your ancestors came to whisper in your ear. Something told me I should have, you know. Because when I listen to something, I be right in alignment. I always end up where I'm supposed to be. Some be like, you better go grab that thing. And I'd be like, okay, something, whatever you say. Because it always works in
I
my
feel you
benefit.
on that. I feel you on that. I think that's something that I am trying to myself be better at, because I do feel that. I do feel that when I don't listen to that whisper, when I don't listen to that voice, then I am one of those people that said, something told me, my ancestors were trying to let me know, God was whispering in my ear, and I'd be like, dang, why didn't you just do it? So I've been trying to concentrate and practice more of just doing it,
Yeah.
and not questioning it.
Yeah,
Yeah.
girl. That's the thing. That is the thing.
So thank you so much, so much for being on Words from a Black Woman's
Yeah.
Experience. I'm glad that you shared your words with us. Um, to close up, is there any last tidbits, tips, things that we need to know about when science describes God?
Oh, well. So I think that I think one thing that you said that I want people to walk away with is trusting yourself, because we are all scientists in our own right and we have questions and we're always going to ask questions. And the only way that you really evolve is if you work diligently to answer those questions for yourself, whatever they are. We are all born with questions and we find them and we grasp them from the world around us. So always ask questions and always be willing to answer them, because they're gonna land you in the places that you want to be. I do want to share a little bit about the organizations and things, if that's okay, and where to find me, if that's okay as well.
Absolutely. That was the next question. Go ahead.
Okay, look at us walking in alignment. So, one thing a few things that I want to talk about is the Healing Academy. That is my nonprofit organization with my partner, Ms. Natalie Battles. We are currently developing more supports as far as like board members and moving forward with opening an online school. Um, there's a lot of exciting things coming down the pike. So please follow us at the Healing Academy at We Heal Heal, we_heal_heal on Instagram, on Facebook. Also, I am Dionne Victoria, the artist. So please follow Dionne Victoria Studios on Facebook, also on Instagram at the Dionne Victoria, like my name here, THE Dionne Victoria. I'm always doing Sunday meditation classes. If you catch me on IG, or you can also, if you miss it, just go there to the Dionne Victoria and follow me, and you can find out my IG. I'm also always putting out classes. So the next class that's coming up is the life mapping course, where you will actually make some goals. It's not similar to vision boards. I'm not going to even say that. But you set goals and you take time to actually think out the steps to accomplish those goals, and you write them down and create a visual that reminds you of those goals so that you can stay on task and completing what you plan to do. Funny thing about life mapping, I made one in 2015, and it went all the way to 2020. And everything I wrote on that map came true. Even when I wasn't even looking at it, it fell behind my dresser. It's crazy. Okay. There go my partner right there. Love you, sis. And what else? That, yes. All the way down to this little girl right here. Everything was on that map. So that kind of sums up everything. Check out the Dionne Victoria. Check out We Heal Heal, the Healing Academy. Check out Life Mapping, Map Your Life 2021. Check out everything. Yeah, she said everything. Yeah. But and then if you have any questions and you want to reach out to me, you can check out my website for artwork at www.dionvictoria.com. You can also email me at thedionvictoria@gmail.com. That was a lot.
That was awesome. It wasn't a lot because we need to learn how to get in touch with everyone to make those connections so that we can work together to change the world. I would like to thank you again so very much for coming out. Your experience was so unique, so insightful, and it makes you think about things that you wouldn't normally think about in ways that you might have not considered. And I love things like that. I love learning and evolving that way. So I thank you so much for your experience. I thank you so very much for sharing it. And most of all, I thank you for your words. A little information about what's coming up with Cherlnell Lane LLC. LLC if you're nasty. No, I'm just joking. We'll we will next Monday be having another episode of Words from a Black Woman's Experience. And our guest on that show would be Miosha Thomas of Local Color Art Studios. So we will have back-to-back artists. And both of them are awesome. I can't wait for you to hear from Miosha and hear her experience as an artist, a teacher, a veteran, a mom. She also teaches in Chicago public schools and other schools. So she's both and she's an artistic teacher as well. And I have also seen her teach in very unique ways, right? And so I think that hearing both of you all's stories is just going to be more insightful to the Black woman and those trying to learn about our experiences. So that is going to be on January 18th, next Monday at 6 p.m. Central, which is where you can find Words Black Women's Experience every week on YouTube Live and Facebook Live. And if you need to get to any of those, you can go to Cherlnell bit.ly/Cherlnell Facebook or bit.ly/Cherlnell YouTube. And you can find me at Cherlnell everywhere, which is Cherlnell, Cherlnell at Cherlnell at Twitter, Cherlnell at LinkedIn, Cherlnell at IG, Cherlnell. And what else did I say?
She made it real simple, y'all.
What else? You know. Oh, the website is www.cherlnell.com. My email is cherlnell@cherlnell.com. And again,
she said,
again, that's again, that's Cherlnell. Thank you guys for rocking with me. If you would like to be a guest on Words from a Black Woman's Experience, please email me, message me. Don't hesitate to DM me. Whatever way you need to get in contact with me. I'm looking for all different types of women as long as an experience to share. I am looking for you. Thank you so much, Dionne Victoria. I think this was an awesome show.
Thank you for having me.
Thank you. Thank you. Yes, that commented. I appreciate you watching. I appreciate you for commenting. And I'll see you guys next Monday on the 18th. Miosha Thomas, right here, same place, same time, same channel. Thank you and good night.